Hi, Dylan from Music Royale here, coming at you with a new ukulele class for January. So this month we're going to be doing Knockin' on Heaven's Door by Bob Dylan. It's a really fun song, and the best part is it's only got a couple chords and a pretty easy strumming pattern for us as well. So before we get too far ahead of ourselves here, we need to make sure our ukulele is in tune. So we're going to start with our 4th string here. It's G is the note. So I'll pluck it a couple times, and you can guys make sure that your ukulele sounds the same as mine. All right, we got our next string here, also called our 3rd string. The letter name is C. We're going to pluck that a couple times as well. Alrighty, our next string here, we call it our 2nd, and the letter name is E. Okay, and then our last one is our 1st string, and the letter name is A. Great, and then when you strum all of them, it should sound like this. All right, y'all in tune, ready to go. So the first chord we have here in this song is going to be a G chord. So let's go ahead and walk through this real quick. So we're going to take our pointer finger, also called our 1st finger. What we're going to do is we're going to put that on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, also our C string. We want to make sure we're using our fingertip here and that it's not touching the string below it. The next finger we're going to use is our 3rd finger, also called our ring finger. We're going to put that on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, also called our E string. Once again, we want to make sure we're using our fingertip here and that it's not touching the string below it, or else we'll have issues with that ringing out. And then our last finger we're going to use for this chord is going to be our middle finger. We're going to put it on the 2nd fret of the 1st string, also called our A string. And once again, we want to make sure we're using our fingertips. Then once you have your fingertips down here, you want to press nice and hard, and then you want to strum all of the strings here. Should sound like that. If you're having issues getting it to ring out, I recommend just starting with 1 string at a time, making sure they all ring out. And if you're getting a noise that sounds something like this, most likely it's because one of our fingers is touching the string below it. And the way to fix that is just to arch our fingers a little bit more and get on our fingertips. And then it should ring out like this. Great, so that's our 1st chord, G. The next chord we have is a D chord. A couple different ways to play this one. The way I recommend it is this way here. So we're going to put our pointer finger, our 1st finger, on the 2nd fret of the G string here. Once again, using our fingertips. We're going to put our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, also called the E. And then we're going to use our ring finger, our 3rd finger. We're going to put it on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string, which is our E string. So this one can get a little, feels like our fingers are kind of stuck together here. So a trick for this one is just to move your wrist and your left arm out to your left just a little bit more. Bring your elbow away from your body, and that'll kind of help you stack your fingers on the same chord here. And then once again, just like with the G chord, we want to pluck each note individually, make sure it's ringing out. And if you get that and all the notes are ringing out, we can go ahead and strum the full chord. Great. And once again, so it's first finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string. And then our first string here is just going to be open. We just let that one ring. Alright, so we've gotten through the hard chords here. The rest of them are pretty easy. So our next chord we have is A minor. All we do for this one is we take our middle finger, we put it on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. We just make sure we're on our fingertip here. And all the other strings are just open. We don't put any of our fingers down. So let's go ahead and pluck through this one. If everything's ringing out for you, you can go ahead and strum. Great. Our last chord is going to be C, another easy one. For this one, we're going to use our ring finger or our 3rd finger. We're going to put that on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. Going to just use our fingertips, and then all the other strings are going to be open besides the 1st. So we can pluck through this here. If that's ringing out okay for you, you can go ahead and strum. So that's all of the chords that are in this song. Before we tackle the strumming pattern though, what I recommend is if you're having trouble switching chords, I would practice just getting the chord down, strumming, then taking your time getting to the next chord, making sure your fingers are in the right spot, then strumming. And then doing it with the other chords as well. So before we add the strumming pattern, it's good to make sure that you can finger the chord and then go ahead and strum it, and then switch to the next one before we add another layer of difficulty to it. So now we're going to start to add the strumming pattern here. So we have 3 parts of the song. We have the intro, the verse, and the chorus. So the intro here, it's going to start with our G, D, and then C. That's going to be our chord progression. And our strumming pattern is going to be this. And this also helps to count out loud when we do this. So the strumming should sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. So when we strum down, those are going to be our numbers. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And when our hand comes up, we call those ands. And that's called our upbeat. So it's really important that while we're strumming that we keep our hand moving the whole time. We want it to be nice and smooth. Another way some people like to say the strumming pattern is just down, 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 down. And take note that my hand was moving the whole time there. We want to make sure it doesn't stop or lock up at the top or the bottom. So let's go ahead and go through all of the chords in the intro here. And remember, start nice and slow, and you want to work your way up to the full speed. You don't want to try to go to the full speed right away. So here's how it should sound. So that's our G chord. Then we switch to D. and then we play C. And we're going to go through the strumming pattern 2 times on C. So we went once through the pattern on G, once on D, and then for C we're going to do the strumming pattern twice. Then after that, we repeat that whole chord progression again. So we do G for 1 measure, or 1 time to the strumming pattern, D for 1 measure, 1 time through the strumming pattern, and then we do C for 2 measures, or 2 times through the strumming pattern. And then we repeat that and just do the whole thing again. Alright, so then we have the verse of the song. And for this one, most of it's the same, but there is one little chord change here. So we start with our G chord, same strumming pattern here, for 1 measure. Then we go to D. Then we go to A minor for 2. Then we go to G again. Back to our D chord. And then we go to C for 2 measures, or 2 times to the strumming pattern. Great. And then after that, we're going to repeat that whole thing again. So we do the repeat, and that's G, D, A minor for 2 measures, then we go back to G, and then we do C for 2 measures here. Great. And then the last thing we have here is the chorus, which actually has the same strumming and same exact chords as the intro. We just repeat it a couple more times. So let's go ahead and tackle this one here. So it starts on a G chord. Then we go to D. And then we have C for 2 measures. And for the chorus, we play that a total of 4 times. So, what we want to make sure first is that we can switch our chords without the strumming pattern. You just want to go 1 strum, then you switch to your next chord, D, and then to our next chord, C. And one thing that can help you out too, and also to challenge yourself, is to count while you play these. So you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you're able to count and switch the chords, at that point you're ready to add the strumming pattern as well. Great. Feel free to leave any questions in the comments on Facebook. And we would love to see your videos. If you guys want to upload you singing, playing this song, and go ahead and post it on our page, that would be awesome. Everyone have a Happy New Year, and we will see you next month. Thanks.